All right, guys, welcome to 2026. It's so weird because I keep putting my project files in the wrong folder of 2025. But as a music producer in 2026, you have to think differently, not only just about the AI threat or the incoming AI wave that we're about to see, or the agentic era, as they call it, but more so about just the mindset that we have to have. Because if we keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you're going to get the same exact results. But if you keep doing different things over and over and over again, you're going to get different results. And that's also a negative thing. So, what are some things I've changed for 2026? Firstly, instead of just using my home gym where I had a pull up bar, bench press, sit up bench, and then a couple barbells, instead of using my kind of DIY approach, I decided to just re up my subscription back to Planet Fitness because they have machines that I can't fit the amount of machines I would need in my garage to suffice for the amount of workouts I have to do for stuff that doesn't even matter. Like, for example, most of us, we think this way in general. We think, okay, let's just do biceps, let's just do bench press, let's just do treadmill. But you got to think about your back, you got to think about your abs, your core, you got to think about your cardio. Okay, so the boring stuff sometimes is the foundational support that you need for the core things that you want. And I think we tend to forget that you have to work on everything, not just one or four, to three things. And that's something that we have to change in 2026 is instead of, doing stuff haphazardly, we need to finish things. Okay. So by finishing things, it doesn't mean focus on a minute point over and over and over until you get lost in that one point. You got to have a process that guides you through the process until you complete the product, whatever that product is. And I can tell you guys that you'll learn this when you collaborate with other people. For example, I remember going to Paramount Studios to collaborate with other producers back in, 2018 or so. And I remember we were collabing, and a producer, we're taking turns as producers on the laptop. And one producer took like 30 minutes to do hi-hats. I was like, this is killing the flow. So instead of hyper focusing on one thing and stopping everything, the flow of everything just for the one thing, do enough of the one thing to keep things going. And then you can always come back around and go through the process again to revise that one thing. Instead of doing step one, step two, step three, taking 40 hours to do step three, you got to keep that momentum, because mentally the momentum will carry you through so that you complete stuff. Because what happens is you'll go to step one, step two, step three. You'll spend so much time draining your willpower in step three because our brain only has but so many cycles to spend on decision making. So if we keep making a gazillion decisions about something that's as minute as a less than 1% difference of the final product, you're actually expending more energy than you get rewarded in the end for that small difference. Okay. So it's more prudent, in my opinion, to do step one, step two, step three until you figure out the trade-off of cost of time and energy, okay, to get the result you want. Then move to step four, because you want to keep the momentum. That's what you need in 2026 is momentum. A lot of people are hyper focusing on one step. All right. So instead of hyper focusing, like I said, we need to create momentum. That's very important. Now let's talk about the incoming AI wave that everybody claims is going to change everything and just people. So firstly, for music, it doesn't matter. Music has always been a supply and demand game. I'll keep it short because it's a long explanation. But ever since music became, my bad, y'all, my Wi-Fi tripped the phone camera. So yeah, what I was saying is, with the AI incoming threat, to keep it short, music has always been a supply and demand game. Ever since music went digital, there was infinite supply. So there is no supply and demand necessarily speaking anymore. There's no true quantity of music. It's infinite. And as long as demand keeps up, that's how you can define charging people for the literally infinite supply, because I can copy one song to another computer, to another computer, to another computer. There's no true defense against music. Even if we get a streaming website, for example, like Spotify, you can still rip audio off of Spotify. So nothing's truly protected. It's just, it creates more of a barrier for people who are pirating and doing all this type of stuff, but it's not safe. You can still record music and copy it a billion times over. And people tend to think leaks are even detrimental to a song's release. Now, depending on whose point of view, think about a leak. What is a leak? A leak is a perceived demand. So for example, instead of an artist putting out a song and saying, go listen to this for free, they go, okay, I'm going to position this song to pretend like it was leaked so that people perceive it as being highly desirable and that it was stolen because it's so good. Okay, so it's a marketing tool people use to market their song is they act like it got leaked. Now, leaks can be detrimental to some features because the features are depending on this song to go out to a major release. Okay, and features get upset because they're like, darn, I just had a song with Drake and it got leaked. And they're worried about the paycheck on the back end for doing a song with Drake. Now, is Drake worried about the leak? No, because it's about perception. Okay, so when it comes to music, however, the game, I'm trying to keep this really short, but it's a lot to explain. The record labels, Warner, Sony, Universal, they're in the game of, creating a definitive amount of supply. Okay. And what they do is the thing about Juice WRLD and Prince and all these different people, these guys, they produce a certain amount of stuff, and the record labels hope that nobody else can produce any more of that stuff because just like an artist, the value of the art goes up after they pass, unfortunately. And that's because the artist can never create any more quantity. Therefore, the supply is limited and capped. And therefore, the demand will always supersede the price in that case, the supply. So the supply will be capped. And therefore, if they push the demand higher, it raises the price higher and higher. So that's what record labels kind of hope in a weird way, is that they have a definitive quantity of product. I know that's very advanced. I guess what I'm trying to say to you guys is, with this AI wave, the main argument people are making is that AI slop's going to take over our Spotify's and all this and push us out the market so that they don't have to pay humans. Well, using that same frame, why don't we think the same thing about humans when we're uploading hundreds of thousands of songs every single week? A lot of those songs are not good. They're not made by people who have the passion for music. They're made by people who just want to get a quick dollar off of Spotify. So how is that different than a machine cranking out songs? And, people tend to get into the weeds about all the ethics and all this. I guess my point is there's a inherent fallacy in that mindset that we should stop AI because it produces more supply, but it's okay for humans to overproduce supply. That automatically kind of defeats the threat of AI. So I think we need to remove the AI supply threat. I don't think that's a real threat because at the end of the day, you still have 8 billion humans on planet Earth. You're not going to have 8 trillion hours in a day for humans to spend to listen to music. There's 24 hours in a day, 8 billion people worldwide. You guys can do the math on how many hours people can spend on music. But my point is, we have a limited amount of time per day. So no matter how many songs are in the world, even if it's 20 trillion songs in the world, I can only listen to up to 24 hours a day worth of songs. So ultimately, it's about who grabs my attention. And I think this is the fundamental frustration that people have with the music industry. Is not, they think talent is going to get people to listen to their stuff. This is the game of marketing. It's a music business. The same way if I'm in the trash business, it's not the trash, it's the trash business. The same way I'm in the film industry or the film business, it's the business of film, the business of music, the business of trash. Okay. So the business is the main subject. The word before it is the adjective. And that's where people, again, get confused and frustrated. They go, okay, I'm getting better at piano. I'm getting better at music production. I'm getting better at FL Studio. I'm getting better at whatever, but I'm not getting the results I want because the results you want are correlated to a completely different activity. So getting better at piano does not mean I'm going to get more views if that's your goal. Okay. And this is the false correlation chain that we have to break in 2026. There are a lot of people making content about how to make your first $10,000 as a music producer, how to get your first 10,000 views. And it's all BS because they're not giving you a formula. They're giving you a false correlation chain. Okay. And I could literally throw a dart, pick a video and tell you and just break it down and tell you why it's not working. Okay. This is because nobody is teaching you guys that fundamentally the internet is run off of traffic. Traffic is what you need to focus on. Traffic is the attention that people are seeking. So instead of thinking of hooks and attention and all this, think of the word traffic. The same way when you go down a highway, it has a bunch of traffic. It can get congested or, people put up billboards on a highway because it has a lot of traffic. Why do people, offer their services and different things around? Like, for example, there's a Subway inside of Walmart. Why? Why would Subway post up inside of Walmart to make Walmart the more dominant corporation in that case? It's because they have the foot traffic. So instead of fighting for traffic with Walmart, Subway said, okay, they did a partnership with Walmart and Walmart needed food and quick little stuff to bring people in. And they said, okay, instead of fighting you and creating 2 different brick and mortar shops, let's just combine our shops, even though we have 2 different brands, and we benefit as Subway because we get the foot traffic of people coming through Walmart smelling the deli. Walmart benefits because they get people coming into Walmart and now they have a whole new product that they've never had before, which is ready to make sandwiches. Okay. Or whatever you get from a Subway. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you guys is we need to reposition the whole battle that you guys have about, against AI, because a lot of it doesn't make sense to the core. Okay. Let's go through those arguments. Firstly, is AI slop. Like I said, why are we forgetting human slop? There's a lot of human slop out there. Okay. Now, until you become a marketer of mind, you can't understand the importance of AI, because here's how we have to think in 2026. Okay. Now, a lot of beginners and amateurs in this space, they'll tell you to pivot. Okay. At every, millisecond and go to what's new. That's not going to build a sturdy foundation. Like Jesus said, if you build on sand, your house will not be sturdy. So if you're building on a shifting market, it's not going to be sturdy. Your audience is going to be very fickle. You need to build on a consistent audience that resonates with a specific desired outcome. There are 5 desired outcomes and motivations for all businesses. One is wealth, okay? People who desire getting more money. The second one is fitness, and it means health and fitness of genes. The third one is social status, okay? The fourth one is power. And the fifth one is mastery. That's what I teach mainly, is people to gain a true wisdom and a mastery of the craft. Because with mastery, you become the top dog in your industry. You get social status from being the top dog. And then from getting social status, you have more influence over the people in the industry. Therefore, you gain power. With power, you have more access to resources and opportunities. You gain the fitness of your genes because you attract more mates. Okay. And now it goes back to the wealth motivation, because wealth, if you dig to the core of what wealth means, it means building off of commerce. What is commerce? Commerce is social intercourse. That's literally what it is. The definition is called social intercourse, not interchange, not interaction, social intercourse. So to gain wealth, you have to have influence over people. You have to talk to people. You have to have a big audience. You have to have distribution. You have to have leverage and more opportunities to combine your thing with other people's thing. And then you have social intercourse like that. And that's what creates wealth over time. Okay. So ultimately, what I want you guys to reposition your thinking is, in 2026, we have to focus on not shifting, okay, but focus on the one path that leads to one of those 5 desired outcomes. And the only time you shift is when you notice your audience wants a different outcome, okay? So for example, you guys might get into music production videos in this space, okay? So think of keywords and traffic. I'm not going to get to the weeds of this because I realize it gets very geeky. Let's just use the United States as an example. You have the United States. This has 300 million people in it. Okay. That's the biggest group in the United States. Very broad audience. Everybody has different interests, however. So underneath the United States, what's the next divider? Is color of skin. Okay. Race, if you want to call it that. So you have white, black, people of color, everything in between. Okay. It's pretty much 3 groups, white, black, and people of color. Okay. 3 groups. Then underneath this, you have even more division, which is religion. So you have Buddhist, Christian, Catholic, forgive me for not knowing that, a Muslim, agnostic, atheist, all the different religions, okay? And Scientologists, etc. Okay, so you have America up top. We have the race underneath, which supersedes religion, okay? Then you go to religious groups. Then you go to microscopic interests like football, basketball, music, okay? Then you get to the pockets of industry that we're talking about here. And then underneath those pockets of industry, then you have music production, FL Studio. So we're already, 6 rungs down. So when people tell you to niche down and down and down, we're already a niche within a niche. So for example, United States, race, religion, that's 3 rungs right there. Then you have general interests like music, sports, etc. Then you have music production. So we're already 7 rungs down, if I count it right. Wait, United States, race, that's 2. Religion, general interest, we're already 5 rungs down. Okay, 6 rungs down if you want to niche all the way down. So niching further will take you into a microscopic world that might not have what's called total addressable market in order to scale or grow the way you guys want. Okay. So you guys are being sold fantasies by niching down into these super microscopic markets that only have 1,000 people in the world in them. And you expect to become a millionaire from 1,000 people. That is not how life works. If you divide $1 million by 1,000, let's do that math real quick on the calculator. All right. So let's say your goal is to make $1 million, but you want to niche down to serve only 1,000 people in the entire world on a super niche of a niche. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. divided by 1,000 people in the entire world for this specific thing, you're literally going to have to charge them on average per person $1,000. So if you don't have something that 1,000 people will spend $1,000 on, good luck trying to get 1,000 customers to spend $1,000, let alone the entire market of the thing. That's assuming you get 100% of the market, which is insane to think. So you would literally have to get 100% of the market, and you would have to charge them $1,000 per person to even get to your goal of 1 million. And that's total. That's lifetime value. Okay. That's not even something you could really scale up. Okay. So we have to address, where traffic comes from, I guess is my point. And ultimately, it doesn't matter how much AI slop is out there. When you think like a marketer, the way people click on stuff, even this video, you guys didn't click on it because of the content. You didn't click on it because of the wisdom and the experience and skill. You clicked on this video because of the thumbnail, and you clicked on the video because of the title. So that's the first thing people are clicking on. They're not clicking on your message in the video. Okay, unless a friend shared it to another friend giving context, there is no context for what's inside the package. So what we're using AI to do in general, I'm just saying in general, when people call it slop, is create the attention grabbing thing on the front end. Okay, they're grabbing, they're using these hyperbolic hooks, like something that would never naturally happen, because they want to grab people's attention in the first 3 to 5 seconds, because that's when people swipe to the next, short or reel. So they're using these hyperbolic, 3 to 5 second clips, because that is the thing that gets people to click. Some people just leave the whole video AI slop. Some people add in their own video. Okay, but ultimately it's just a marketing tool to get people's psychology to click in. The better question is, instead of demonizing AI slop, we have to ask the humans who are consuming the AI slop, why do they keep consuming AI slop then? The market demands AI, what they call AI slop. So that's what I'm saying is we have to look at our human condition and say, what does the market tell me? Not what do I feel like needs to change? What does the market say? The better question is, why are people picking the AI music over your music? If you're better than a computer, if you're better than the AI bots, then why are people picking AI stuff over your stuff? Something's fundamentally not making sense right there. So in 2026, we need to focus on getting the attention. Attention is not how much music we make, not how much better music we make. It's about the marketing side of things. It's about building your personal brand. It's about understanding what resonates with real humans. Okay. Like I said, you can use AI to resonate with real humans, because real humans want 5 things: wealth, health, social status, power, or mastery. The AI is doing a better job of communicating those 5 fundamental motivations with people. That's why it's getting a better response. Some people can call it a conspiracy and say the platforms are pushing this on us because they don't want to pay creators. Ultimately, at the end of the day, they have to satisfy the consumer. So if the consumer is not satisfied, why would they push something? Okay, you can call, I guess the greater conspiracy is you could say they're trying to condition this on us. That's an argument that I can understand. But when people say that it's just the algorithm pushing AI slop to ultimately wedge creators out because they don't want to pay creators, at the end of the day, though, who consumes the ads? Humans. Who pays the bills for, who consumes the products from the platform? The consumer. Okay, so if the consumer is not engaging with the AI stuff, why would a company push AI stuff if it's not getting a response? That would just diminish their platform and make everybody leave the platform. So introducing AI is saying that, okay, retention is increasing. Okay, even though it's not human made, it's because humans forget that I don't know why everybody thinks every human creator has good intent for everybody. They don't. When humans create, they're focused, most of them are focused on themselves. They make music to focus on themselves. They put out, content to demonstrate, something about them. It's never value to this is why my channel is so different, is because I literally think my brain focuses on what do you get out of the video before I even make the video. Okay. I think about at least 3 things per video. Like, what can I give you for free? What information can I give you for free? And what problem am I solving per video? That's why this channel does so well, because I'm solving problems. I'm giving you value. I'm not just doing something so that you give me something, which is the majority of entertainment business. It's all focused on the person. It's very selfish and egoistic. That's why they're not getting results, because it's not about the consumer. They're positioning their stuff about themselves. Okay, so as humans, we do this to one another. We put up content that's just about us, showcase us, make us look good. It has nothing to do with the audience and make them better at life. But we think the AI slop is evil, when the AI slop is actually delivering what the audience actually wants, which is to get to those 5 desired outcomes. So that's my perspective on AI. I don't think it's a supply issue. that it never, supply doesn't exist. It's basically infinite already. So that's not the problem. The problem is people not understanding what resonates with their audience, and they correlate, just like they have false correlations between the actions and the results they want. They correlate the AI to taking from them. The same way somebody could say, okay, Busy Work Speeds is doing successful on YouTube. He's taking the traffic. And it's like, how are we taking the traffic if this traffic what didn't even exist in the first place years ago when we were doing all this stuff? So you're telling me I'm taking the traffic, then that means it's a limited market. But how did the market expand if we're taking all the traffic? So basically, what I want you guys to think in 2026, I know I got a little deep with it. So let's simplify it a little bit better. Do you need to be worried about AI? No. Okay. The main corporations and industries that need to worry about AI are people who don't understand that anything you do for another person is at risk. Okay. So this is why independence is such a foreign thing, because we're taught in school to sit down for 7 hours, learn from somebody, do what that person asks us to do, and then we move to the next grade. After we graduate, high school or college, then we go into the job force where we're told to work for somebody else, do what they ask us to do. And if we don't do what they do, they get rid of us or they keep us for doing what they want to do. Okay. So when we're conditioned 12 years, 16 years of the same exact cycle over and over and over again, you can't comprehend what it's like to be independent, creating stuff for yourself. This is why we have to go back to biblical stuff for this to make sense. Back in those days, everybody was into agriculture, which is farming. So in a farm, for example, if I grow my own wheat, grow my own, have my own cattle, have a river, fruits on the trees and different vegetables growing, what do I need another person for? And this is why people have separated from religion and spirituality. It's because we've transformed into this globalization world where everything we do relies on somebody else to do a thing. So for example, let's just take this all the way back to biblical times. This is why the parables in the Bible are so important, because it's literally the best example is farming, because this is true independence. So like I said, let's start from the beginning and say that Busy Work Speeds has a farm. I have my own sheep, I have my own cattle, I have my own river, my own fruit trees, my own vegetation, wheat, etc., tomatoes, everything. And the only variable that I'm worried about is one, the pests that come into the field. I'm worried about threats of animals coming to kill the cattle, or I'm worried about acts of God, they call it, nature, storms, catastrophes like that, different things that could happen naturally. Okay. Because let's say the soil doesn't get enough nutrients because it was blown away. So now that could position into what's the word? The Irish famine. Okay. That could lead to a famine because we didn't produce enough product. So those are the things that people would worry about, is more of a natural harmony with the earth. Okay, that's why I think they were more spiritual, because you weren't relying on another man to produce your tomatoes. You weren't relying on another man to give you cattle. You were relying on life itself, the life force. Okay, this is why I think some people worship the sun, because without the sun, you don't have photosynthesis in the plants. Without the plants giving us photosynthesis, we don't have oxygen. We don't have the cleansing of our carbon dioxide, different things like that. We don't have the nutrients that go back into the soil, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, carbon, et cetera, oxygen, if I didn't already say that. And so that's why I think people worshiped. Oh, hold on. My cam froze again. Hold up. My bad. I don't know why the cam keeps freezing. I got to fix my connection here. So I guess my point is, people would worship the sun, for example, because that was the source of the energy for their system. That was the beginning of traffic for their system of stuff. Okay. People would worship, foreign deities, using blood sacrifices, because they believe that blood connected you to a higher frequency, or to a specific frequency that communicates with something outside of the earth, which they derive power from. So worship means to rely on something for power, because when you feel depleted as a human and you need more energy to go about your field and your farm, you have to pull the energy from somewhere. And people who are spiritual and believe in a source of joy and a source of energy, they communicate with the deity, for example. Now, some people worship money because they believe that if more money came in, that would give them more energy. So worship doesn't mean this, like you're praying to something. It means, what do you seek that is giving you energy for something? And if you rely on that specific thing, you are worshiping that thing. So we were trained in globalization and in America, based on the system and the factorization of everything, to essentially worship humans, worship the monetary system, to worship, celebrities. Okay. Because we think that if we just get around them, if you guys remember, there was a part in the Bible where Jesus felt this lady touch the edge of his robe or something like that. Okay. The metaphor is saying that she sought him so much and worshiped, meaning she thought the power was outside of herself. So she worshiped this celebrity so much that she believed she would get power just by being around him or touching him, so that she could be restored for her lack of, energy or power, or whatever the thing she was seeking. And that is called worshiping humans. There's a whole commandment in the Bible that says you should not worship false gods. What does a false god mean? It means something that is not the actual source of traffic. Okay. So I'm saying this because it goes back to how you operate on the internet. If you guys keep chasing the next thing, Y2K core, swag beats, digicore, I'm trying to think of all the different subgenres. What's the hood trap? All the novel things, and you never center around the main thing. You're essentially worshiping a fault. You think you're going to get your energy from something that is a flash in the pan, something that is an illusion. That's the same exact thing as worshiping a false god, because you think you're grabbing your energy from the real source, and you're not. That's a fleeting thing. Okay. It's a moment of iteration. Okay. It's a branch of iteration. Now, once that branch happens, it serves its purpose. Now it's gone. And now we have to branch off from that branch. So the definition of iteration and innovation is when you get to a certain point and you branch off, it serves its point. It became a node. Now you move to the next thing. And that's why seeking trends is not the way to go. Instead of, I guess, to make this very simple, if I want more leaves and fruit in my garden, am I going to keep chasing each branch, or am I going to keep planting trees that have the tree trunk? Okay. I'm going to worry about the tree trunk more than the branches, because the branches can die and fall off. They could have insects come bite them. They could have termites. They could have whatever. Am I going to focus on that one branch to give me more lemons, or am I just going to keep planting a tree, even though trees take a long time to grow? Everybody's chasing the branch, but they don't realize the branch has a definitive point where fall comes, and that branch becomes weak, and then it falls down and the fruit falls, but the tree stands still. So chasing a false god, a false source of energy, a false source of prosperity, whatever that thing is, that is essentially, us chasing that branch or the fruit on the branch. But like I said, that renews. By definition, it renews because of the way we define innovation. So in 2026, I want you guys to stop chasing every little thing that pops up. It's okay to cover something, but when you use that thing as your foundation, like Jesus said, if you build on sand, your house will not be sturdy. Okay. So if you're building on these new innovations and make that your core thing, understand that it has a definitive petering out time, to where once that decay happens, it's on to the next thing. And therefore you've limited your brand. In that case, you've literally put yourself in a trap that is going down based on an hourglass. So we need to think in 2026, how do we go to the bigger root of the matter? Like I said, in America, you have United States, you have race under here, you have religion underneath that. Then you move into sub-interests like music, entertainment, sports, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to focus on the higher rungs. And this is what people say when they expand their consciousness. You're not focused on the low frequency density stuff, the small stuff. You're focused on expanding. How do you expand? You need to resonate with more people. How do you resonate with more people? You need to have more in common with people. How do you have more in common with people? You stop micro-focusing on micro niches. Now, some people teach you the micro niche category and strategy, because they want you to dominate and monopolize a micro niche. The problem with that is that you could be the greatest in the world on digicore or whatever, tutorials or whatever. But the moment the market maxes out, there's no more market to expand into. So you would literally have to master digicore, create another brand, master, hood trap, create another brand, master swag beats, create another. You have to create all these different brands. And if your goal is not to acquire other people who are doing that for you, there's not enough time in a day to create that many brands and give your focus across that many horizontal things. Okay. So what I'm saying is you have to have a very business mind to even remotely accomplish the micro niche strategy in 2026. So instead of focusing on small little microscopic things, try to expand to a bigger rung. Okay. This is why, for example, hip hop is a culture. It's not just a sound. It's not just a music production DAW. Now, on the core level, you have people who understand FL Studio, Logic, Pro Tools, whatever. Those are the geeks. Okay. Then your circle grows a little bit bigger. Then you have the kind of consumer level music creators like BandLab and FL Web and just stuff that's a little bit more broad. Then NFL Mobile, stuff like that. Then you have the music consumers, which is a bigger circle around that. Okay, these are people who subscribe to Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, YouTube Music, etc. Then you have people who don't even really consume the music, but they observe the celebrity and the storytelling of the music, the cultural expression of the music. Like, for example, what is it called? Love and Hip Hop. And, the Joe Budden podcast, all the different characters that you see. Okay, that's the big umbrella because it talks to people who don't even listen to the music. Okay, because you guys know people who know Taylor Swift's song more than they know Nelly's song. Okay, so that automatically, just because you listen to music doesn't mean you understand the culture. So what I'm saying is characters are understood, whether you understand the subculture or not. And so, like I said, we're in a micro niche of a micro niche already. So if you keep going down and down and down, it's not going to help you guys moving forward. So in 2026, I'd recommend music producers. Yes, you need to make content. Content's how I got in front of Teddy Riley. Shout out to Teddy Riley. One of the only producers I've found. I keep asking myself, why do I love this music? And then it's like, oh, Teddy Riley made it. That's why. Okay. New Jack Swing, Michael Jackson stuff. Like, I always found myself being like, Teddy Riley was behind that the whole time. Oh, like, that's why I like it, type of thing. Okay. Connected with Teddy Riley. Connected with Jay Rodham. Shout out to Jay Rodham. J.R. Rodham. Who else is a big name? Party Next Door. Shout out to Party Next Door. Connected with me on Instagram specifically. Now, if I wasn't making content that added some type of value, they would not care to follow me or even connect with me or communicate with me at all. Now, understand, connecting mutually means that they're essentially opening their communication channel with me. So anytime I connect with somebody, we can now communicate directly and it's seen on the actual message, what is it called? The message DM inbox. So that's a privilege, okay? For people to give you access to them in that way, that's a privilege. Never think that you deserve anybody's access to their inbox or DM or text. If anything, you guys can address their public email. That's the only public thing that people should have as a contact point. But even then, I don't think Jay-Z has a website where you can contact Jay-Z. So ultimately what I'm saying is access is a privilege. Okay, so understand that. All right, hold on, my camera's tripping out a little bit. But in 2026, pardon me. Okay, Teddy Riley, shout out to Teddy Riley. Party Next Door connected with me. DJ Mustard, shout out to DJ Mustard. Man, I'm forgetting all the celebs. J.R. Rodham, Timbaland, shout out to Timbaland connected with me. Again, there's so many people. Rodney Jerkins. Man, I'm just going blank. There's just so many dope top level people that connected, and it was all based on a simple tip that I shared about FL Studio that they may have either not known or never tried before. And they're like, oh, that's a dope tip. Let me follow you. So when people telling me I need to make videos about me making beats on an MPC or my keyboard or like showing off my, it's about me. It's not about you and content. That's why I think my content does so well. It's because the definition of my content is to help somebody else. And I can't fake that. There's no faking of that. It is what it actually is. It's educating somebody on how to help them solve a problem. So in that case, I'm serving the person watching. It's not the other way around. Like, watch me make a beat. If it's cool, follow me. Like, that's more about you in that case. Okay. So I'm not saying that's not valuable to somebody, however. So I just want you guys in 2026 to stop demonizing AI with the supply argument. That is the most weak argument, because again, why are we like, when people call stuff AI slop, why are we not addressing the human slop and the human supply, okay, being diluted by all this content being uploaded daily? So it's not the content. It's we need to understand how to connect with humans better as a human. And the AI is doing a better job of us connecting with humans because they can see the patterns of what actually connects with humans, made by humans. So for example, if I write, 1,000 emails in a year and I go to my email service provider and I say, which emails perform the best? Which ones had the greatest open rate? And they give me a list of 10. I go, okay, well, even though I sent 1,000 emails, only 10 really resonated with these people. So I need to now focus on those 10 ways of talking to these people instead of trying to iterate 1,000 times. And even we humans can't comprehend that we're not as good as we think. I just think people have a fundamental issue dealing with that. We think we're better than we actually are in a lot of cases, whether it's business, music, whatever. So like I said, we need to take the argument of AI slap out the music, because can you produce the music? If the answer is no, and you keep saying that you're better than a computer, then you're not better than the computer in that case. And a lot of guys are frustrated about AI music when it is ethically trained, even still, because of whatever. I have no idea what the argument is. But it's like, look, guys, people are making 1970s samples. Do you have any 1970s guitars, drum sets, vocals? I've never seen these people produce 1970s anything. And they're talking about how AI stole their ideas. How? When we're pulling out samples from 1970s, 1980s disco funk. I've never heard a disco funk track on their whole channel. So I think people are just using this to create a pitchfork effect to try to galvanize other people to, attack evil AI, whatever that means, when it didn't even affect their pockets. So it's like you're creating a threat for nothing that's happening. Like nothing's actually resulting from this AI slap threat, except for their user experience that they claim. But again, it's just because this goes back to narcissism and egotism. Just because it affects that person doesn't mean it affects the whole. There's something called utilitarianism, which is the greater good for the group. Let me look up the definition, actually. All right, so the utilitarianism is an ethical philosophy that says the doctrine that actions are right or correct if they are useful or for the benefit of a majority of people. So just because a minority of people are not satisfied with the results, there's a great majority that are. And this is essentially a battle of how we have philosophies around ethics in the AI space. Okay. It's how we perceive, just because it's affecting this person, but everybody else benefits. Now it's evil to this person because everybody else benefits, but they're not thinking of the greater group. Like we need to evolve as a people. So I'll keep this video short. I guess, 2026, here's some actionable steps for people who just want to skip ahead. One is you need to figure out what resonates with real humans. Solve problems. Content is not just content. You're making a video to solve some type of problem. Those 5 motivations are wealth, health, social status, power, and mastery. If you're not solving a problem to lead someone to those 5 desired outcomes, you will not see the results you want in business. You will not get commerce, which means social intercourse, which means you will not get the revenue that you're expecting. Skills, being better piano is not going to give you more revenue, directly speaking. Okay, you need to understand how to communicate with the people, lead them to those 5 desired outcomes. Okay, that's what you need to worry about. Now, resonating with people, the same way you talk to a toddler is different how you talk to an adult, and the same way you talk to somebody in church is different than how you talk to them at the club. You have different ways to approach people. So instead of trying to follow the trend this way, that way, the new thing over here, you're never building a foundation. Instead, focus on the greater arching communities and interests. And just the thing you should iterate on is the way you communicate the resonance point. So I can give you guys a lesson on this, but I teach this at busyworkspeech.com/premium. Some of the ways you can, communicate in different buckets is you could speak celebrity. So you could talk about celebrity. You could talk about the novel thing, the new thing, but it's critical though that you stay with the foundational audience. Okay. Or foundational interest. You could talk about current events, for example. You can use what's called pain avoidance, okay, or pain aversion, which is probably the strongest psychological trigger and emotional trigger when it comes to humans, is how to avoid pain. Okay. And there's another motivation to gain pleasure, but avoiding pain supersedes gaining pleasure. Okay. So these are called psychological or emotional triggers. I cover these in my courses at busyworkspeech.com/premium. You need to understand what resonates with people. People do not care about your content. They care about a desired outcome. You need to communicate how your thing will lead them to the desired outcome. And you use all those different hooks to guide people and drag them to their desired outcome. That's all your business is. That's all your content is. It's just a fish hook. Okay. Like Jesus said, throw a net out, meaning don't just do the same thing with one hook, because that's all you're going to do is catch one fish at a time. Do different iterations of hooks, we'll say, or angles or emotional triggers, okay, that grab people in. And then your business is simply a vehicle to guide them to a desired outcome, which is what they actually want. They don't care about your thing. They don't care about you. They see their future self in you in some way because it leads to their desired outcome. Okay. So you have to understand in business, you need to evolve past the you-ness of it, because it's really not about you. Even when you build a personal brand, it's not you. You're an avatar that says that this can be your final self if you follow the steps that I've taken. That's what people are trying to become. For example, Kim Kardashian is a huge mega star. When people buy Skims, it's not because they need tights. It's not because they need underwear. It's because they want to get the results that Kim Kardashian has. So they buy the thing thinking that it guides them closer to that desired outcome, whether it's, and Kim Kardashian's all about social status. So that's her main, driver in what she does. So we can just sit here and analyze stuff all day, but I want you guys to share this video because you need to wake your friends up. People are thinking that you have to do this dramatically new thing every single second of the day. No, you need to have a hypothesis and test variations against what's called a control. So you have an idea, a hunch, okay? You're going out into the market with a hunch. That's all you have is a guess, educated guess. Now you do something, okay, and you measure against that one thing. So do a video, see how many views you get, see the comments, okay? Then change the type of angle that you take or the hook, the psychological trigger that you take. So if your first video was about how to avoid mistakes as a beginner producer, okay, now you know the pain aversion works. Let's try celebrity. So now you go how to make a Drake beat. I'm just saying for my channel. Then the next one might talk about novelty, like or current event, like UMG goes after Suno. Okay, so just try things that lead back to the core fundamental, which is music production and solving the problems of people as music producers. Once you start varying and getting into gossip and doing all this other stuff and just shifting all over the place, you're not going to have a foundational audience. Okay, it's going to be very finicky. What's the word? Very fickle. I'm mixed. Well, let me find this word. As soon as I paused it, I remembered it. Your audience is going to be very fickle. That's the word. Okay, so I want you guys to think, how do you have a hypothesis, test one main thing, one content piece, one angle, okay, then test the different variations or variables against that control they call, and then see which one beats out the control. The only thing you should be doing in content is how to beat the control. What works, figure that thing out. Now test stuff against what works, and only until something beat what works should you change. You don't change just because you're just changing. Okay. So that's how you go about evolution and iteration. That's how the whole universe is built. That's how entropy is built. So if you want to go against the laws of God and against the laws of nature, then keep doing random stuff just randomly. Okay. If you want against the law of God, keep doing the same exact thing over and over again. It's going to lead you to the same results. So you have to be embracing the fact that we were built to iterate until we find our full potential through mutating every single day. Because every minute, every second, my DNA is replicating itself. Now it doesn't make small mistakes, but sometimes those small mistakes create a new thing. Okay. So if my body is doing that, what do you think your content needs to do? It needs to mutate small changes over time. Okay. It doesn't need to mutate the entire DNA strain. It needs to just mutate one or two little pairs at a time. So I'm getting a little too esoteric, but I just want you guys to just have a more strategic way to go about 2026. Yes, it's about personal brand, but you guys have to understand how to go about building a solid brand. Find a hypothesis, a core audience with a wide total addressable market. What problem are you solving? Create one thing that works, resonates with the audience, and then pivot those variables against the control. Okay, that's how you should go about it. Not just doing all this random stuff. You should vlog today, do hip hop tomorrow, do EDM the next day, do studio sessions, chase placements. It's just too much randomness. That's why you guys aren't seeing results. All right, y'all. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.